Okay guys, welcome back to another video. In this one, what I want to discuss with you is the things that I did not know before I started a social media marketing agency, but they're things that I wish I knew because it would have helped me have success a lot earlier on and it would have allowed me to really just reach goals a lot faster. Before we go any further, make sure to smash the like button and hit the subscribe button if you're new, and without further ado, let's jump into it. Alright, so when you are starting off, you do not need a fancy website and you do not need any crazy project management system or any fancy softwares. You also don't need to cold call if you don't like cold calling or you're not comfortable doing that. And you also don't need to work with businesses that you wouldn't actually want to work with. All of those things I just listed to you there are great. You know, having a nice website, that's awesome. Having a really in-depth project management system so you can keep track of all your clients and your projects. Cold calling, that can be great to get clients, but ultimately you don't need all of that. When I started off, I thought I needed every single one of those. So I was focusing on cold calling, I was trying to build a Wix website, I was also trying to get a really good project management system. I was using Trello and I was trying to build out like the perfect system so that when I did have a client, I'd know exactly what to do. And ultimately I just did not need any of that. And to this day, none of those things gave me any results or served me in any way, shape or form. Apart from cold calling, where I kind of built up a little bit of confidence and kind of gave me a bit of experience with the sales process, apart from that, all of it was pretty much a waste of time. So since starting my agency, there's really been two standout things that you need to focus on, and two things that I would recommend to you that if you're just getting started or you've already started but you're not seeing that momentum yet, these are the two things that are ultimately going to allow you to see success. And if you don't focus on these, you're really just going to be wasting your time on all these other things that you think are important. Like I mentioned, websites and things like this. You don't need any of that. To start off, the two things you need to focus on are outreach and sales. These are pretty much the only two things that will consistently bring cash into your business, especially when you're starting off. When you have a few clients, there's other things that are going to bring money in, such as referrals, delivering a really good system and a service to your clients. But at the start, these two things are literally all that matter. Outreach, talking to more businesses and having more conversations, and sales, basically getting on the phone with more of them and actually closing more deals. So if I could go back to my younger self where I spent countless hours watching videos on how to do cold calls and how to set up the perfect website for your agency, I'd go back and I'd slap him in the face because it was a complete waste of time and something that really just, it allowed me to stay busy without actually doing anything. I remember being in Asia after a semester abroad, really looking into social media marketing, watching tons of YouTube videos, and kind of in that initial stage of just like gathering as much information as I could. And I spent so much time watching videos and, like I said, how to do cold calls, how to set up my website, how to onboard clients, and the best payment processor, all of this stuff. And like I was so busy trying to learn all this, but it got me nowhere. Like none of those stuff actually got me a client. So if that's you now and you're watching all those videos where you're really trying to learn every single detail, you don't need to. If you can just literally talk to more businesses and then you can have more calls with them, like ultimately those are the two things that push the needle, and they're the two things that are actually going to bring the cash in. And I think the biggest reason why people don't start off with these two really important tasks, and why I didn't start off with those tasks, is that to do these things, to do outreach and to do sales, you have to really master your mindset and your sense of discipline. You need to be able to sit down for a month, for a few hours a day and send hundreds of DMs, hundreds of emails, hop on loads of calls, and probably not see any clients for the first couple of weeks at least, because you're just building up your momentum, you're building up your consistency. But ultimately, if you do enough of those, you'll have clients in no time. So like I said, if your mindset is off or you don't really have a sense of discipline in your life, doing these two things every single day for like 30 days without any results is probably going to seem impossible. And you probably think that you can't do it. But I almost guarantee that if you would commit to that, of sitting down for 5 hours a day, sending DMs, emails, LinkedIn messages, and then hopping on the phone as much as you can, there's no way in which you can do that for 30 days and not see any results. Now to do that, you kind of have to go into what I like to call monk mode, where you can lock yourself away basically for that amount of time every single day. Obviously you still live your life, but like you can sit down for those 4 or 5 hours and commit to 100% just doing that. Not having your phone out, not looking at your phone, not going on Facebook, not doing basically anything else, but for those 4 or 5 hours doing those two tasks over and over. And this is probably not what you want to hear. You probably want to hear that there's just like one little strategy or one little tactic that you got to implement. But ultimately, it's the harsh reality of probably any online business that you really do have to be able to have that consistency, have that discipline, and have that mindset where you can just put yourself into your work for 4 or 5 hours undistracted. Because if you can't do that, you're always going to struggle, because you're never really going to be able to go deep into the problems that you have. And out of all the people I know who are successful with running online businesses, all of them have this ability to do that. They're able to sit down, go into monk mode, and just not really do anything but work on their business for that set period of time. So forget about the websites, forget about the cold calls, forget about a fancy project management system, and forget about the next shiny object that comes up that's going to help you radically change your business. If you focus on these 2 things, you're not going to have a problem. Don't get me wrong, I know that these can be really hard to do, and I know that the reason I didn't do these at the very start was, like I explained, I was too focused on the next level strategy or the next little tactic that would help me just get results. So I didn't really, have that discipline to be able to just sit down and say, hey, I'm going to spend 3 hours DMing brands and emailing them, and I'm not going to do anything else. That sounded like torture to me. You've also got to have the ability to step back and see where your time is best spent and where you're wasting time. So for example, if you send the same message to people over and over and over again every single day for 2 weeks and you get no results, you have to have that ability to be able to step back and say, hey, something isn't really working here, so I need to switch up the type of message I'm sending. I need to send it at a different time. You've got to have that ability to step back, right, and kind of problem solve as you go. Because obviously just sending messages and emails doesn't guarantee you're going to get a client, but being obsessed about getting more response rates from people and getting more interest from people, those are the things that are going to help you really see success with it. And that's really where I see following a proven plan to be of huge value. If you can follow along with someone who has success in that field and get advice and get feedback and really just strategize with them on what you need to change in your current approach so that you can sign clients and you can achieve, the income of your dreams, ultimately following that plan is going to help you get there. I actually got off a coaching call yesterday with someone who had just signed up to my one-to-one coaching program. And I could see the impact that first call had with him, because he now had this more clear picture of what he actually had to do. And he kind of was able to get away from the shiny object syndrome, right? Of looking at, every other little tactic and thinking that that's the next best thing. He had more of this clear vision of what actually was going to matter and what was actually going to push his business forward. And again, that's another reason why following a plan can be of huge value. And I definitely wish it was something I did when I started off, whereas I did not invest into any coaching or consulting or even courses from anyone. And that definitely did hold me back, because like I said, I was just chasing all of these little different things. Try something for a few days, then I try something else, try that for another few days, and try something else. And ultimately I wasn't consistent with any of it, and it just left me months and months with no clients. I also opened up my calendar, so if you want to hop on a quick call with me for 10 or 15 minutes, this is not a coaching call, but it's a call to see if my one-to-one coaching program would be beneficial for you and if it would actually work for you based on where you're at right now and what your goals are. If you want to check that out, link to that is going to be in the description, and you can book in a quick 10-15 minute call. We can have a conversation and see if it would help you out. And apart from that, I will see you in the next video. As always, smash the like button and the subscribe button. Stick around for new uploads. And with this video in mind, the 2 things you do need to focus on are, one side, mindset and discipline, and on the other side, you got to focus on outreach, talking to more businesses, and sales, which is actually selling more businesses.